Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Entrepreneurial Mindset, the entrepreneur and his team. In the last chapter, we tried to understand why people want to be an entrepreneur. And you could ask yourself those questions. Now we'd like to go further into the question, should you start your venture alone or should you start in a team? Why is a team important in some situations? You remember Steve Jobs' quote. Well, let's start here. What is needed for a good start to start a venture? Well, you need any kind of resource like office space and so on. You need capital. And most importantly, it's about people. It's about the single entrepreneur or it's about the team. What is the entrepreneur in the team? Well, it is a form of capital, so-called human capital. And human capital is just one form of capital. There are other forms of capital, and Adam Smith started that discussion long ago, and he said the improved dexterity of a workman may be considered in the same light as a machine or instrument of trade which facilitates and abridges labor and which, though it costs a certain expense, repays that expense with a profit. It is the same like machines, you need people. And if you look closer into entrepreneurship, everyone knows the people are most important. But let's look first of all a little deeper into what is human capital. Well, human capital in general is the capabilities and the knowledge humans bring to the table, so to say. Based on personality, you gather some education and experience, and you use that education and experience to build your own human capital. If you look at yourself, you learned something in the past and you gained some experience in the past, and this all together builds your own human capital. And that could be, that's the next page, entrepreneurial human capital, since it's specific knowledge, like education in entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial training, what you do right now, understanding the entrepreneurial mindset, understanding the entrepreneurial process further, knowing how to start a venture step by step and so on. That's your investment into education, and your experience might be you were self-employed before, as Michael Dell as a school kid selling newspaper subscriptions, or you worked for an entrepreneurial company before and you had an experience which was really positive for yourself. We called it a mastery experience. And this is your own human entrepreneurial capital, and you do have that. And now you're going to use that human capital in order to be an entrepreneur. But what you have to do right now, you have to be honest to yourself. And you have to ask yourself a couple of questions. Saraswati started with these questions: whom do I know? What are you able to do? And so on. And more specific, you can ask yourself, do you have the necessary industry, market, technology know-how? And if you're really honest to yourself, you might have the technology know-how, but maybe not the market know-how, or the opposite. Nobody knows everything. Secondly, do you have the knowledge to accomplish the tasks that are critical to success? Well, actually you do in an entrepreneurship course, but have you also looked into a balance sheet? And thirdly, is my required business network big enough? It's always lacking network, but is it big enough to start a business? And if you're honest to yourself, you probably see that sometimes it's lacking something. And if it's lacking something, you have to fill the gap. And filling the gap, you can do it in two ways, and this is how you do it. On the one hand, you can start looking for partners, partnerships, stakeholder commitments, or, and this is getting more closely, you can look for team members. So first of all, what's the difference between those two? Actually, team members are those who are essential for your business. You work together consistently with team members. With team members, you start your business, they get a share in your company, and you're tied together in some way like marriage. Partnerships might only be one time or periodic. They might not be so important as a key task. So how to remember? How do you differentiate team members and partnerships? You say, okay, these are essential, and these are forever, and these are only peripheral, and they might be only one time or from time to time. So maybe you've never seen a balance sheet, you think about you need an accountant, but do you really need an accountant on your team? Or why don't you use an accountancy firm to help you in those tasks? Because in most cases, it's not a key task for your business. So how do you approach that? You define your required know-how, skills, and expertise. You look at the important key tasks and action steps, the prerequisites to success, and then by being honest to yourself, you find out what's missing, and you look at these tasks more closely. And look at these tasks, especially how important are the tasks and how often do you use the tasks. And then you find out whether you need someone on your team or you need more partners, stakeholders that you commit to your business. And this is why you sometimes need new team members. When you find out there's knowledge which is really important to build my business. If you're a technology guy and you're lacking marketing skills, marketing is really important to a business. So it might make sense to take someone on board who has marketing skills. In addition to that, he might have a different personality, and that might also help you in developing your business. We'll see that in one of the following chapters. Because when it comes to team members, then you start asking many, many questions probably, like those: who's required for a perfect team? Or are my friends a good addition for the team? Or which team size is the most effective and efficient? Or how can you divide the tasks in a fair way? Or is it better to work with strangers and not with friends? Those are many, many questions concerning team building, and in the next chapters I'd like to tackle all those questions in order to give a couple answers.